What is going on YouTube? How we doing today? We're gonna do our Falcons preview game for this week. I got my guy Corey here from On the Warpath podcast. How you doing tonight, Corey?
I'm doing good, Tyrone. Appreciate you having me on here, brother. And I told you before we got on here, I'm sorry for the delay.
Hey,
I had
man.
my Warpath Wednesday pod and had some work obligations before then, but I appreciate you being so patient and generous with your time, man. Thank you
Hey
for
man,
having me.
always, always. Are you on fall break, Blake? Oh, that's nice. Let's get this W, man. We have to. I gotta. I'm gonna get into you, Corey, because like I said, I told you before the show, I did the
Uh,
DPC. So you guys coach Ron Rivera. You know he's
mm-hmm.
6-11 versus the Falcons.
Ugh.
His career. And he had a quote. I don't have the soundbite, but he had a quote on the radio. You know, he does a weekly radio. He was saying, "Yeah, man, you know this game just doesn't seem like we have to win. Like it, you know, we got games after this, and it doesn't seem like a must-win game." And I said, "Bro, we're both 1-2. Like you don't want to go into week 5 as 1-3 because you're gonna be. That's when people start saying you're in the bottom of the barrel. You at least want to be 2-2. So how do you see it? Because that was a weird quote for me.
Yeah, Ron is like the weird quote captain of the world, man. Like I feel like especially when it seems like I think he still thinks he's in Charlotte. And I said this before, and you may have heard this on my podcast. He is in the BS detector of the world. It's I mean, they cover the president in DC. They cover Congress. There's nothing that like our people at the Washington Post, Washington Times can't go down the street or go down the hall and be like, "Hey, how do you detect BS right there?" That is the
Yeah.
most ignorant comment I have ever heard, and it makes people quite. I love Ron Rivera. I think he's admirable. I think he's a good guy. I do think he's a good-hearted guy, and he came into a terrible situation with us and Pervert Central, as you saw from Washington. I mean, it's true. Like, I mean, they were pimping out everything, but probably the front desk clerk at the time.
Yeah.
Um, I don't like that quote. This is a must win. Granted, we're going into up against a guy that we haven't beat. We have never even come close to beating. Probably in that overtime game where your boy had to pick 6 against Kirk Cousins on that empty gun
Oh
shotgun.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
2015. Like I remember, look, I done seen Matt Ryan to beat the piss out of us multiple times. You talk about '09 in his sophomore season, and D'Angelo Hall was getting in Mike Smith's face. I remember
Yep.
that. I remember RG them knocking at y'all dirty Sean Weatherspoon, that dirty player knocking out RG3. We probably would have beat
No,
y'all.
let's not do
Yeah,
Weatherspoon like that. You know.
We're gonna do Weatherspoon like that. And then 2013, when we basically handed y'all the game because Mike Shanahan was tired of dealing with Dan Snyder, and it was Kirk Cousins again, and we just gave y'all the game going for a doggone 2. And
Yeah.
then what other game we play? 2015 I already talked about, and then 2019 was Julio Jones's get right game. He hadn't had a touchdown all season,
Yeah.
and
He had one versus y'all. Yep.
they beat the brakes off of us in 2018. And I have a feeling if you're a gambling person, your boy Kyle Pitts, I will put a prop bet down for Kyle Pitts to score a touchdown against this team because
Yeah.
he is looking forward to that. I think he breaks the seal and gets in the end zone down there in Hotlanta, which y'all have a beautiful stadium. I actually went on a tour one time, ate at Molly B's. Great place.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
Love it. Win the locker room. And
Oh yeah, it's really
yeah,
nice. Man. That stadium.
I choked on something on there, and they said
Oh, okay. See.
they said dial 283. I said, why dial 283? And that's all
Okay.
28-3.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay,
Okay. So going into, we can go into the RG3 years and then
Woo.
going into after the RG with Kirk Cousins, and you guys like you have built a franchise now. Credit Ron Rivera, he has come in. Remember, I don't know, Montez Sweat was there before Ron Rivera, and then you brought in Chase Young, which was, I think you guys probably thought Haskins was the the future. I think is that probably why you bring in Chase Young and then
Yeah.
you cut him, and it's just like like if you guys didn't trust Haskins, that was my thing. Like Taylor Heineke is from Atlanta. He's from this. He's from he's from down south. My thing was like you were saying, you guys were saying on the show, he might not be your franchise quarterback.
No, he's not.
And you gotta hope and pray. You don't want to be bad to go get one. You want to hope you fought some guys fall to your pick or you trade up, but draft capital. You don't want to give up draft capital. So, can you see Tyler Heineke being that guy one day, or you gonna have to get a quarterback?
No, they need to get a quarterback. I don't think with Dwayne Haskins, that was more of a Dan Snyder pick because Jay Gruden did not want to play him. They forced him out there in 2019 against the Giants when he was unprepared. He was, I affectionately call him Strip Club Simba because the day before he was fired, he was doing glitter after they lost to Carolina in a game that would have put them in the playoffs. So I don't think he was ever the future. I don't think, especially when Ron came, they said they gave him all this opportunity, but I think at the end of the day, it just wasn't there. It wasn't going to happen for him. He's too immature. And I don't think he cares about football. So, but I do think he was done wrong, if that makes sense in that situation. Sean Springs, interestingly enough, who was like his mentor, played for Washington from 2004 to 2008, was like his mentor. And he said he can't come home and play. He can't come to the DMV and play when he was up there at Ohio State because it will destroy him.
Yeah.
There you go. That's what happened. But yeah, Heineke is a good story, right? But at the end of the day, we're celebrating. Washington celebrates a guy who almost made it, who didn't do it. He hasn't done anything. He struggled against the Giants and won. By the grace of God, Dexter Lawrence goes offside, right? And they get a reprieve. So he wins that one game. And then you almost beat Tom Brady. And the storyline was all off season. Well, they scored the most points against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers than anybody else during the playoffs. Tampa Bay wasn't ready for him.
No.
They didn't know what to see. There's not a lot of tape on him. He here's a thing right here, Tyrone. Taylor Heineke, for the first time in his career, has started his last 3 games are the only times he started games from start to finish. That's it.
Because he didn't start the playoff game, didn't he?
No, he did start the playoff game.
He
came in. So if you go back, he played for the Texans. He got knocked out. TJ Yates got knocked out against playing for the Texans, right? He gets a concussion, goes to concussion protocol. 2 plays later, Heineke gets knocked out of the game. Yates has to come back in because Heineke got a concussion. It's crazy. And then 2018, Ron Rivera puts him out there against Atlanta. He gets hurt. Then you bring in Kyle Allen down there. So the guy doesn't make it. He hasn't shown his durability. He throws high balls. He's just not. He's 28. He'll be 29.
Really? I thought he was younger than that.
No, here's another thing. He is the oldest starting quarterback by age in the NFC East right now. He's older than Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
There you go.
And the other 2 teams have young quarterbacks. That's because Daniel Jones, this is his 3rd year. Dak, this is Dak's 5th or 6th. Is this his 5th year or 6th year?
He's like, I think this is his. Oh gosh, he came in 16, right? So this would be his. I guess they counted 6. Well, probably 6th year, I think.
I think something close. I know it's something close to that. And then Jalen Hurts, this is his 2nd year. And then you got, I thought Taylor was so much younger than that. I don't know why.
Because he hasn't played that much. He's been in the league like since 2015 or 2015, 2014. He's been with so many teams. He's followed Scott Turner around. He was there when he was in Minnesota, in Carolina for that little bit of time, and now he's in Washington with them. I mean, you got to think about it. This guy was going to get his he was going to get his degree at Old Dominion University. We called him Home Depot on my channel because that's probably where he was working at.
Yeah.
like before he came to Washington. He was a pandemic quarterback. He was a COVID backup.
Yeah, and that was crazy. Like, mind you, last 2020, you guys have a successful year. Well, 7-9. You know, the division wasn't that good, but you know, you still make the playoffs. You play Tampa. You give Tampa, you know, a run for their money. But I think everybody knew Tampa was going to win that game. But your defense looked great last season. Then you come in these 3 games, and your defense is like, whoa. Yeah. And everybody's like, you know, like you guys were saying on the show, people were saying Chase Young is a bust and this and that. You guys were loving him, like, you know, like, and that's you know, that's the certain. It's the same thing. It's the same in Atlanta with certain players. Like, oh man, this guy just isn't going to be good. Like, why wouldn't you use this guy? Like, we drafted Richie Grant, and everybody, all these other corners are playing, and they're like, well, why aren't you playing Richie Grant? So it's the same thing. Like Chase Young is a dominant player. Like I talked about him last night. Like, man, he's gonna get good. I mean, he's a bull rusher. Like, I think he needs a little bit more finesse, which he has, but he just it doesn't seem like he's gonna use it because he thinks he's faster than everybody. But mind you, this week he has to go versus Jake Matthews. And Jalen Mayfield, his kryptonite when he was at Ohio State is on the inside. So I mean,
we already saw that with Rashawn Slater too. Now, we see.
Yeah, I really want to. I don't. I think Tim said. He said 4 sacks, and I was like, I don't think with this O-line trying to jail how it is. Like, you know, like you said, it's gonna. You always seem to be our pop-off game. Every year we play you guys. You guys are the game where he's just like, okay, Atlanta's gonna score 40. Like, the over-under on this game was 48. And I was just like, it seems to need to be a little bit higher. Do you think that, or do you think it's more you need to put a little bit, it needs to be, under?
I'd mess with the under right there. Just because, and I say this in no disrespect to the Falcons, y'all scored 17 points against the Giants. Like, that's I mean, it's the Giants, like, they give it up like prom dates do pretty much. And that's how they give up yardage and everything, man. You know, to the point, and I'll also make this point. If y'all are to win, this is a revenge game for Arthur Smith.
Yeah, you know, he did coach y'all.
No. Not just the fact that he was on the coaching staff. His father, Fred Smith, the CEO of FedEx, was a partial owner of Washington up until they had that debacle. That's his daddy.
Yeah.
So that's like, so I mean, you don't think Arthur Smith is going to have the added motivation to go in there and hit this team in the mouth for his pops? Yeah. Come on now, like I
think for you guys, I think for him it's like he knows. I think he knows that, like, he talked about it. He's talked about it. You know, he's talking about it, like, yeah, you know, I came from Washington and this and that, but you got to be honest with him. This man knows what he wants to do. Like, I think that's why people in Atlanta don't like, because we remember Dan. You know Dan Quinn, because you know the clapping. Like, him and Jason Garrett are meant for each other. But mind you, he's with McCarthy, so they should have kept beating. So, you know, the same clapping and all the slogans and this and that. And it's just like, bro, you can't do that. Like, you can't. Like, Arthur Smith came in here and he's kind of sort of just changed the culture. Like, it's a no-nonsense. Like, Niesliak had a horrible game. Our punter had a horrible game versus Tampa. The next week, we bring in Dustin Colquitt. Like, and then our D tackles aren't good. We bring in these 2 huge guys to come in, basically giving competition. Like, it's like, if you're not doing your job, you can see your job disappear. Because, mind you, Kaminsky, who started last year, has been inactive 2 weeks in a row for a rookie.
Shout out to University of Charleston. I seen him play in college live.
Oh, yeah. So, so we've seen, you know, like, we've seen these guys. This man has come in and he's been like the bodyguard. Like, and you haven't had that in Atlanta. No. Like, Dan Quinn, Mike Smith. We're not going to bring Petrino up because that's just the whole different story. But I can't even think of the coach before Petrino. But the guys we've had in
Jim Mora,
Jim Mora, yeah. So you haven't had these real not like him in the media is like, you hear him talk to the media, it's just like, oh yeah, he's gonna be it's gonna show, he's showing you like, but offensively, like, 'cause everybody's talking about, well, the offense, it's not score, like you were saying, like, we only score 17 points.
Right.
Or like, it's a slow, methodical, I mean a real slow, methodical defense. I mean offense. Like, it's gonna be running first down, second down, and if we need to, we'll throw it on third down. But if we don't, we gonna be we'll just we'll run it again.
Right.
Like, and that that helps your defense out, because all they're doing is sitting on the bench recuperating. And everybody wants these quick hitting plays in the NFL. And I'm just like, no, and you need to play methodical, because our defense, even though we have some young guys, you still have some older guys on that team, and they need rest. So it's really good. Like Ultrasound said, this new center around competition is making our guys play better. Yeah, right. We haven't had that in Atlanta, and that's why I think everybody loves about this is that Atlanta feels different, but it's still some fans. The Matt Ryan hate in Atlanta is just different, but that's a whole different story. But for you guys, what are you seeing defensively? Like, what happened? What do you think happened? Do you think you guys bought into the hype? Or is it just they're just young and they got to start gelling back together?
Well, that's a complicated question. That's a complicated answer for a very simple question. I think part of it is hype, but I think part of it is the lack of aggression from this team. I don't know what the blitz numbers are, but they're not very good. It's the third down defense. We've got the second worst third down defense in the league, giving up about 58, almost 59% of third downs are converted against us. Our linebacker play has been, for lack of a better word, putrid. John Bostic is awful. I'm a John Bostic guy. He has been absolutely, his play has been unacceptable. Cole Holcomb. We do have a young man, Jamin Davis, who locked down Kyle Pitts. Shout out. Not going to say we're going to repeat this, but it's just been the whole back. The back seven has just been god awful. Landon Collins coming off the Achilles. He can't cover. I mean, he couldn't cover he couldn't cover a bed if he was a blanket. Bobby McCain has done all right for what he's been doing. And Cam Curl, who was the second leading tackler, he played strong safety a lot for us last year. He's been used sporadically. Also, DeShazer Everett, who's coming off an injury, who that seemed like that was the best combination for us, was DeShazer Everett and Cam Curl. And DeShazer has yet to see the field this year. You look at our corners as well. We have William Jackson III coming over from Cincinnati. This brother has been 3 sticks. I call him William 3 sticks, and for each stick at the end of his name, he's got a pass interference in the first 3 games. He's got 3 pass interference calls in his first 3 games. That's terrible. Former Virginia Tech guy. Shout out to you, boy, Mike Vick. Kendall Fuller has been awful in the slot. We do have a young Canadian gentleman by the name of Benjamin St. Juice, and he's growing in that role on the outside. But then there's points where he's like, "Hey, what's going on there? Hey, we don't know." But we probably got to give him a little bit more maple syrup, and I think it'll be all right. But the defense has just been not living. And I haven't even talked about the perceived strength of them, Tyrone. Chase Young plays too high. Jonathan Allen's played really well, surprisingly. He's like the only guy that I've seen that cashes in a check and he plays pretty good. Montez Sweat, I don't know where he's been at. And then Deron Payne, our interior guys have been good, but I don't know what it is. They say it could be coaching. Jack Del Rio. Interesting enough, Jack Del Rio has only worked with one person on the defensive side of the ball for an extended period of time. Our secondaries coach, our linebackers coach, and our defensive line coach all were Ron Rivera bringovers from Carolina. Sam Mills III, Steve Russ, and Chris Harris played kind of for Ron Rivera. So I guess he really wasn't in Carolina. Richard Rodgers, the safeties coach, also came over there from Carolina. Also, an interesting thing enough, the only one person is a guy, Brett Vasselmeyer, who is like the third down or something. I don't know what he is with the secondary, but that's the only guy that Jack Del Rio has to lean on coming in there. And that does not, I don't know if that's very conducive to the culture there, but as far as building that defense, but there's just a lot of things. I think it is hype, but I also think it's been mismatched, and it's been the lack of creativity and execution, play calling, and the players have a lot to do with it. I'm not going to blame it just on one person. I'm going to blame it on the collective. Yeah. So, like I said, it's a complicated answer, but I hope I answered that question.
You did. Yeah, like for the Atlanta, I'll go into Atlanta defense. You know, we still have we still got Grady, who really and truly
put his daddy in the Hall of Fame. Why isn't his daddy in the Hall of Fame yet?
I don't know. You never know.
Tuggle needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
Like, I don't know why Jesse's not in the Hall of Fame.
That is a travesty.
It is.
That man is not in the Hall of Fame.
The 3 Hall of Famers for the Falcons is I know 2 is Dion and it's one more, but it's Dion and Tony. But it's another one. But I can't even know the other guy's name. But the thing about it is Jesse Tuggle needs to be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know why he's not. But it's kind of crazy looking at great. So you got Grady, Dante Fowler has had a kind of sort of an emergence over these last couple of games. He had a strip sack versus Brady, and then he had a sack last week, which was a key sack, which we needed. I think the linebackers are straight. We have the speediest line. Basically, it's kind of weird because I always say this. Atlanta, if you look at Tampa's defense and like linebacker wise with Devin White and Campbell, is it Campbell? I think it is Campbell. If you look at Foye and you look at Deion Jones, they're kind of sort of the same too. Like they're like speed wise and the way they can cover, like they're the same 2 guys. And it was weird because everybody was like, why their linebacker core looks like our linebacker core. But if you look at our corners, AJ Terrell should be back this week. He had a concussion versus Tampa. Should be back this week. I think Kendall Sheffield's practicing. He might not play, but he is practicing. Io has had a great season. Isaiah Oliver, he's our inside guy, but he had to play outside last week with AJ being out. TJ Green, which is from Carolina, played in Jacksonville as well. He's done good. He was able to help, with the blow of AJ Terrell. And then you have Deron Harmon actually you got Fabian Monroe, who is from Washington. And he's been our QB. He's been our number 2. Kind of sort of mixing him in with Io and we've been moved, like I said, but the thing with Dean Pease, none of these guys play like positional football.
Right.
They have a position, but they don't play positional football. Right. We kind of sort of move them around, like coverage wise. We could have AJ Terrell 1-on-1 and then move him to the high and then have the safety cover the guy. So it's kind of, so Dean Pease is a mastermind. I will say watch this week because we have one of the highest blitz rates in the league. So I would say watch this league because we're gonna send Dean Pease, if he gets the opportunity, he will send the house.
Yeah. I mean, that's what made him. That's what made Dean Peeves great in Baltimore and then in New England as well. Like they send these different fronts. It's a positionless defense. They can run the 3-4 at you, the 4-3. They're running all kinds of things at you. And I mean, the fact that he came out of retirement to help Arthur Smith out. I mean, my goodness, y'all have been blessed to bring in. And you got a guy like Harmon in that backfield that's very familiar with that style of defense. I mean, I can see where y'all only held the Giants to 14 points last week.
And people, if you, like I said, when people that watched that game, it was a very defensive game. I mean, it was very defensive. Like even both sides, like our O line isn't the strongest, mind you. We have a rookie, and we had 2-3 year guys on the right side, and our centers this is his first year starting completely. Because last year he filled in for. Remember we had Mac these last couple of years,
right?
So his first year, So your inside guys, they should have the advantage, but these guys have looked so good. We remember, like first week, I mean, we were dogging them like versus the Eagles because it was like y'all look like it looked horrible. And then versus Tampa, you come back 25-28 and then two wild pick sixes, which didn't even make sense in the end. And that gives, makes the score look horrible. And like our defense, mind you, they were at 28 and we held them to 28 in the third quarter. And we ended up having one on us. We think we scored 14 in the third quarter versus Tampa. And they have one of the best defenses in the league.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this team is built to score. It's just people, it's not a lot of big shots. It's a very methodical offense, and this defense this defense gets a lot of rest with that. I will put it like that. So, running back wise, we have Cordell Patterson. Well, he's a flex. I'll put him like that. He's your flex guy. Receivers wise, we have Calvin, we have Kyle Pitts, Russell Gage. I think he might be back this week. I think Zacchaeus. We have a couple guys. Sharp, Tajay Sharp. That we brought in. He remember because Tajay Sharp was brought in from Tennessee. So for you guys, of course, you have Scary Terry. I think they said what's the other guy? He's hurt. Corey Davis, isn't he hurt?
No, we don't have Curtis. We have Curtis Samuel.
Curtis Samuel. Is Curtis Samuel still hurt?
He's practicing today. He has yet to see the field though, so I'm not too confident on that.
So, because somebody told me that you wouldn't see Terry McLaurin run a deep route unless Curtis Samuel was in the game. So, what is your opinion on that?
I mean, I think you'll still see it, but he runs those intermediate routes. You'll see him 5-10 yards, those routes, and something that can give Taylor Heineke something to take advantage of. He had 16 targets in his first start against the Bucks. I'm not Bucks. Oh God, not the Bucks. The Giants, and then I think he had about 10 or 11 against Buffalo last week. So he looks for Terry McLaurin on the regular. So I think getting him involved early and often, I think that's good. And if Curtis Samuel can come in there and play, I think that adds a different wrinkle and a different dynamic to that offense because you can actually play him at running back and you can play him outside as wide receiver and you probably play him inside at the slot. So it gives Scott Turner a lot of chess pieces to work with. He is nowhere near the most creative play caller, and I don't think he's the sharpest mind when it comes to offense. I think he lives off his dad's coattails, but we got to live with this. He's young, learning through it.
Yeah. What's going on, AS? How you doing tonight? How's it going tonight, Tyrone against Corey? How do you think who will have the better O-line this Sunday? I'll let you go first, Corey.
Well, I hope it's going to be Washington, man. I think that, and I that's predicated on the run. I think they need to run the ball down there at Blank's Palace. Sam Cosmi was one of the highest rated run blocking right tackles a couple weeks ago. Brandon Sheriff, who is our all-pro. I'm not really a big fan of him. I'm not going to lie, but, he's a top 100 player. So, if you get him going on, Chase Roulier, underrated center, we've got him. Brandon, what's his name? Eric Flowers. I said Brandon Flowers for some reason. I'm thinking of the cornerback. Eric Flowers, he came back. He was on the team in 2019, came back in a trade this year. He's played really well. And then on the left tackle, you have Charles Leno, who's trying to learn the system as well. I think these guys are good at, if we focus on the run, if you run the ball, keep the ball out of Matt Ryan and offense, and I think that we do have the better offensive line, especially interior. I think I'd put our center and our guards up against anybody. Our tackles, that might be a little bit different. That'll be a different story there. But I would put our interior linemen up against anybody, and I think we can win a battle there. But it also depends on how Taylor Heineke holds the ball.
Yeah. How long he holds it. So for us, of course, we have Jake Matthews at left tackle. I think he's been an All-Pro tackle. 2018, he was a Pro Bowl tackle. Mm-hmm. He's been our left tackle for and then you bring in Mayfield, who's actually improved a lot in that left guard position. Hennessy, they're starting to gel, I think, because these guys, mind you, we still have Lindstrom at right guard and then McGarry at right tackle. other than Jake Matthews, you have four basically young guys on that O line. Jake Matthews is
Mhm.
2014. Lindstrom and McGarry is 2018, 2019. Hennessy's 2018, and I think and Mayfield was this year. So we have to wait. I think for us is the waiting to see what I think this is a test. Um, we let Aziz get a sack, but
Mhm.
my thing was I was happy about that. You can't tell all my joy, but
Yeah.
it was a hate happy thing. But my thing is for us is that you gotta prove like we gotta prove this week with that pass rush because you guys might not blitz a lot, but you guys can still make some moves and do some things to make us make you show it off. So we have to prove this week, especially inside. I want to see those guards in that center work together a lot more. I think Jake Matthews and Chase Young is going to be a fun matchup. I think Jake Matthews has some fun. I mean, I think he's been there. He's been his Matt Ryan's left tackle. He's been his blind side for so long. And then you have McGarry on the right side with Montez Sweat. So,
Mhm.
I mean, and really and truly, they have to use inside moves with Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
Like, because if you go outside with Matt, he's going to step up in the pocket. This year alone, he's moved a lot. I mean, we had him in speed training this
Mhm.
off season. He's moved a lot quicker in that pocket. Like, and it's like you got to come up front. You can't come from the sides and behind. Because he'll hit a shoulder dip, he'll get a lane, and he might take off if you don't have a spy up. So I mean, it just takes some. It's gonna take some whatever you guys think. Basically, just have to show it all. Like you guys have to just prove, like, yeah, whatever happens, happens. I think that's the whole
Yeah.
thing with that. Um, but yeah, Ayers, that's the O line coverage. I think everything else, we kind of sort of covered a lot in a
Yeah.
short time. I think for us, I guess we can go into our prediction. I guess we'll go into predictions. I guess I'll go first with my prediction. I'm not gonna go score wise. I will say I don't never say the score because every time I say the score, something bad will happen.
I'm like you. I'm
But
like you. So
yeah,
go ahead
I
and say
say
it. If we both say it though,
I you
I
know
mean, eh, come
it's a
on
48
now.
point. I'll give you the money line. The
Okay.
over under the win percent. I think it's plus 1 7. It's a minus one. I just did
Mhm.
it 155. Um, if you look at it, I think it's a minus 155 if you bet on the Falcons. And it's a 1.5 plus minus on the game, and it's in favor of Washington. So for me, I say the total over under is 48.
Mhm.
I think I'm gonna go with over. If we get into a shoot, I'll put it like this. If it turns into a shootout, I don't think you want to have a shootout with Matt Ryan. Even if him at 36, I still don't think you want to have a shootout with Matt Ryan.
Hmm.
Um, and Washington has the curse against Matt Ryan for some reason. So I think you take the over. But yeah, I think it'll be a close game though. I still think it'll be a close game.
Okay. Let me see here. I'm gonna take this. Yeah, I think. Yeah, we got. Wow, that's weird. You never really see this too much. Minus 104, like you got on y'all, and that I mean that's in y'all's favorite right there. And
Oh
then
wow.
minus 112 for Washington. In that 40, I'll take the under. And I mean, of course, I'm gonna take Washington in this
Yeah.
game. I think the law of averages kind of works in our favor finally because not only is this a message to Fred Smith, it's also a message to Kyle Smith who in no relation, but Kyle Smith was in our front office and he was unceremoniously let go after working under Bruce Allen. All those guys worked 1 year with Ron Rivera and didn't come back. Now and I think he's in y'all scouting department or
But yeah,
something
he
like
is.
that.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
he is.
So
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of things. It's a lot of familiarity between these two teams right now. But I think at the end of the day, Washington peels back their ears and they get it done. I think it'll be a close game, but I think finally we get off the hump. We finally beat Matt Ryan and company. I mean, because it's
Hopefully.
been shoot. I mean, last time. I mean, they've been playing Matt Ryan since I was 18. I'm
Oh
30
yeah,
now.
Yeah,
And
I'm
I'm
20.
very,
You're 10 years older than me, so yeah, they've been
yeah,
playing
yeah.
since
I've been
Matt got
seeing it.
drafted. So yeah, that's
Yeah, yeah, dude. So I'm like, it's got to happen. It's got to happen.
yeah.
Finally, it's two quarterbacks I have not seen them beat in my lifetime, maybe three, but the two people that it just seems like we can't get right against: Matt Stafford, Matt Ryan. It's always the Matts, man. So
Y'all
I
haven't beat Stafford?
no, never beaten Stafford. The
Wow.
only time we beaten the Lions, Stafford didn't play. Back in 2019, Jeff Driscoll was the quarterback. So we have never beaten Matt Stafford.
Yeah, well, he did come from one of the greatest colleges in college football. So
Like what? Oh yeah, is it them same guys that choked on in the national
okay,
championship game
see,
against
we're not gonna
Alabama?
do that. Hey, Miss Asia. You a little late, Miss Asia, but yeah, we finna get this W Sunday. I'm gonna go out on this clip. If you
Uh-oh.
guys watch Ted Lasso, he has the Believe poster hanging up in his, when he does his press conferences. So basically, I don't know who did it. I guess he's a Ted Lasso fan, but I'll play the clip for you guys. Thank you. All right, thanks, man. So I will give us the hashtag believe it, even though that's the Hawks hashtag as well. Believe Atlanta, hashtag Dirty Bird or hashtag Believe Dirty Birds. That'll be our hashtag for this game. Thank you, Corey, for coming on.
Appreciate you, bro.
Promote yourself, man. Give yourself a
Yeah.
shout out.
Yeah, come and find me at Sanchez 405 on Twitter, on the Warpath, YouTube, and I mean it's been a blast here. I didn't know that Arthur Smith and Macy Grace had pork chop. They're cousins with the pork chop sideburns, man.
Yeah,
I
man,
try to
he got
walk.
the foot.
Yeah,
So
he got the
so
undercover
his
brothers.
so when we got to after week 2 when we lost to Tampa, clean shaven guy. He's always been a clean shaven guy.
Uh-huh.
So we get to week 3 and he just starts getting all this scruff on his face. I'm just like, bro, what? So after we beat the Giants, he came out and said it was a get the win beard. So that is basically what it is, and he's gonna keep it, I guess, till we
Oh my
win.
gosh.
So
Oh
I
my
guess to the end of the
gosh.
season. So I guess it has to stay. We won the first game. It has to stay. But yeah. All right, we're gonna get out of here. Thank you, Corey,
Yeah.
again. Thank you, everybody,
Appreciate
for
you.
watching. And with that, we're out of here. Peace.